the Glam palette, which is probably, oh my God, there is a fly in here. Hey guys, I am finally getting around to doing this video. It has taken me so long because this list kept changing, I kept revising it, I kept coming up with different ideas for it. But today we're gonna be doing my top 3 products in every category. And when I say every category, I really honed it in because I was going to do a top 3 products of just foundations, you know, lightweight foundations, tinted SPFs, full coverage, long wear. I had all these different categories of types of foundations, but I thought, you know what? It's too much. It's too much. Like, the point of this video is to really hone in on the things that I would grab if, let's say, my house was on fire. I always have that ridiculous scenario in my head. I need to come up with a new one, like a zombie invasion or an alien invasion or whatever. But that's sort of what I have going on in my head. Like, what are the things that I would grab for? What are the things that I feel like I can't live without? Obviously, I can live without all of these things, but let's go ahead and get started with primer. And I'm also wearing as much of these favorite products on my face as I can. So I will do cutaways, much like my favorites. I'm gonna do cutaways to me applying some of these products. And of course, I'll mention which ones those are. I will also have everything linked down below in my description box if you're interested. So let's go ahead and start with primers. Let's start with the one that I have on my face. My vanity is, there's like so much stuff out here. I can't find anything. Okay, let's start with primers. And it's all the way back here now. Let's start with the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. I love this. I love this primer. It is just a really beautifully textured, very creamy, but lightweight. It's so strange because it's rich, yet it's lightweight. It like soaks into your skin, but it makes your skin really smooth. It is a beautiful moisturizer slash makeup primer all in one. It has a lovely, fresh, citrusy scent, which I love putting on as my first step. It just sort of wakes me up. You guys have heard me talk about this a lot, so I'm gonna move on. The next one I wanted to mention, and this is one, you know, I swapped one out. This is one that came in last minute because I was digging through my drawers, and this is actually in my highlighter drawer, but I do love using this as primer. Like, love using it as primer. This is the By Terry Brightening CC Serum in Sunny Flash. And this is gorgeous in like the spring, summertime, or whatever. It's gorgeous. If you want like a bronzy glow, I like using it in the spring, summertime. It is beautiful by itself. If you just want to use this as your base product, it is extremely glowy though. So if you do put like a lightweight foundation over, like a tinted SPF or something, the glow just kind of comes through. It's softened a little bit by the coverage of your foundation, and it is gorgeous. It is also a serum, so it has skincare properties. It has different shades. So if this one seems a little bit too deep for you, there's like an apricot one, there's a pink one. So you can also use it as kind of like a light corrector as well. So it's just a really fantastic product. This is definitely one of By Terry's hero products, and I love it. Absolutely love it. And last but not least, you guys knew I was going to talk about the Victoria Beckham Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer, either the original or the golden. It's great. This sheen in this primer is less than the sheen in the By Terry. So this is really lovely for just a really subtle kind of glow. It has a golden glow in both of the shades, the original and the golden. And this, just like the By Terry, has skincare benefits. Victoria Beckham partnered up with Augustinus Bader. So it's a really lovely like skincare product, really, but it's a lovely primer because it really smooths out your skin and it gives it that little bit of glow. So this is definitely one of my favorites, as you guys know. I've talked about this a lot. Did I even mention what it is I have on my face? I use the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base today. I don't even think I recorded that. So anyway, off to a great start, sorry. Okay, let's move on to foundation. So this was really like the bottleneck in this video because like I said, I just couldn't figure out which foundations. It was like, well, this one is really great for this, and this one I would definitely use this if I was going out to a party. Like I had all these different scenarios, and then I was like, well, I feel like I'm comparing apples to oranges. And so I sat down with myself and I said, self, which are the 3 that you would grab if you just had to grab 3 and get out of the house? So this is what I came up with, and none of these are going to be a surprise. If you've been with me for a while, None of these are gonna be a surprise. I'm gonna start with the one that is on my face, and it is the Surat Dewdrop Foundation. I love this foundation. I don't get to use it enough. I don't know why. I really need to pull it out and use it more often, but I have shades 3 and 4. I have 3 on my face now. 4 I use when, you know, I'm a little bit deeper. Probably the spring, summertime is when I reach for 4, but 3 is what I have on. This foundation, if I had to pick one foundation to grab, it would be this one. I feel like it makes my skin look incredible. It makes my skin look so perfected without a lot of coverage. Amazing. It's like magic in a bottle. There's something about the formula or something in the formula where it like refracts light. So it really looks like, it really makes your skin look like you have an Instagram filter on. I do have other products on top, but mainly what you're seeing on my face is this foundation. It is a photo filter in a bottle. It's incredible. So that is number one. Number two, and I talk about this one a lot too, but I haven't used it actually in a while, but this is the Kogendo Moisture Foundation. And they reformulated this, I wanna say last year already. I have shades 113 and 123, and I definitely reach for 123 more often. I feel like the undertone matches me better. Anyway, this is a really creamy foundation that is just really skin-like. It probably has like a touch more radiance than normal skin, a touch more radiance, and it just wears so well. It has like a light medium to medium coverage. And what I think is so fantastic is it feels like a foundation that's not gonna be long wearing. It feels like one that's like really creamy and you put it on, you're like, okay, it'll probably fade once I start sweating or when I put my mask on or, you know, just by the end of the day. But this is a really long wearing, lovely foundation. It's really, really skin perfecting. And it's one of those foundations that has a decent amount of coverage, but it doesn't look heavy or mask-like on the skin. It's gorgeous. So that's the Kogendo Moisture Foundation. And then last but not least, this is just one I love to throw on if I kind of don't know what else to put on because it's pretty lightweight and a lot of skincare benefits as well. And it is a tinted SPF. It has SPF 30 in here. And this is the La Mer, the Radiant Skin Tint. I've used this a ton of times. It is very glowy. I have very dry, sensitive skin. So it's just very soothing to my skin. It gives me a little bit of radiance. It's just a very easy wear. So that's the La Mer tinted SPF. What's the actual name? The Radiant Skin Tint Broad Spectrum SPF 30. And I do have it in the shade Light. Those were foundations. I feel good about my choices. I mean, I'm telling you, there were so many, but we're not gonna get into it. If you guys want a top 3 just foundations where I talk about like tinted SPFs, my top 3 like light coverage, my top 3 long wear, my top 3 cushions, like really break it down, let me know. Let me know down below in the comment section. I just felt like for this video, it didn't make sense. Anyway, enough. Moving on, let's talk about concealer. This is definitely not gonna be any shock to you, but the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer, I have it in the shade 2N. It is what I have on my face today. I have it underneath my eyes, and then I dabbed a little bit over these 2 sunspots that I have on my cheek. A gorgeous concealer. I use it all the time, as you guys know. I love it as concealer, under my eyes, on my face. I will even put a generous amount on my face and just kind of use it as my only base product. It is so versatile. The shade 2N works for me so well. So I just love it. I love it. This is my second bottle, going strong. The other one that I love is the Clé de Peau Radiant Corrector for Eyes. This one is, it's more brightening and there's a little bit, like the Dior is just very skin-like, just real straightforward concealer, does its job, moves on. This one has the slightest hint of radiance. I mean, just the slightest. I don't like a lot of radiance, especially underneath my eyes. I feel like that makes me look sweaty. This just has a little bit so that it just helps with like brightening and lightening your under eyes, and it's gorgeous. The texture is really nice. It's very creamy. I have it in the shade Ivory. And Ivory for me is light. So when I use it, it definitely has like a lot of brightening going on. So that is the Clé de Peau Radiant Corrector for Eyes. And then lastly, I wanted to mention the eye concealer with botanical extracts from Sisley. This is the one that I reach for if I need coverage. Like if I need some major coverage, I feel like, I don't know, I hadn't gotten sleep in weeks. I'll probably be using this quite a bit during Mishmas. So when I have some real darkness to cover up underneath my eyes, this is what I reach for. It is really high coverage, but there's no cakiness to it. There's no crackling to it. This really has the coverage of like theater makeup, you know, like really thick, high coverage, highly pigmented theater makeup. It has that kind of coverage, but it looks like nothing under the eyes. It doesn't, you know, sink into fine lines. It never ends up like drying up and like looking kind of crackly under the eyes. It looks fantastic all day. It's long wearing. It's incredible. And I have it in the shade number 1. So that is a Sisley Eye Concealer. And those are my 3 concealer picks. Okay, moving on to powder. This was another one. I was like, I could do loose powders, I could do pressed powders, but I just combine it all. So my first powder pick is a loose powder. It is one that I've been talking about for years now. It's the Kogan Do Natural Lighting Powder. It is what I have on my face today. I actually haven't used it in a while because, you know, I'm constantly testing new stuff, but I love this one. I think it is gorgeous. It's a perfect match for the Surratt because, like I was saying, the Surratt Dewdrop Foundation has that like blurring effect, and this has like a really slight light kind of like satin sheen, so it just makes your skin look so smooth and so soft and like just blurred and pearly, like all of the things that you want. It's magic. This combination is magic. So this is my first powder pick. My next powder pick is not here because I broke it. The Sisley Pressed Powder. I had it in the shade number 2 Natural. I dropped it and I broke it. So I don't have it at the moment. I'll flash a picture of it up here, but it is a powder I've used quite a bit and I've talked about it quite a bit on this channel. So you guys know how much I love it. May it rest in peace, but I do have to pick up another one because I really do like that powder. And that powder, much like the Kogan Do, but you know, it's a pressed powder, so it's a little bit different, but it does have a really slight, just natural kind of like satin sheen to it. And I just love that for a powder. I really don't like very mattifying, drying type powders. I just don't think it's complimentary on my skin. I just feel like it makes me look old and dry. So that is the Sisley Pressed Powder. Just absolutely adore it. And the last powder I have to mention, this is absolutely no surprise, but this is the Chantecaille Perfect Blur Finishing Powder. I have the Hummingbird collection. So this was limited edition, but now it's part of their regular line, thank goodness, and they now have 2 shades. So this would be like the lighter shade, and then they have a deeper shade. And this is a baked gelée powder. And these baked powders serve a very specific purpose for me. They are incredible at blurring out big pores. And so when I feel like I have large pores that are really just showing their stuff, like my large pores look even larger on some days, maybe when it's hot out or I've been sweating, whatever it is. But like right here over my cheeks, underneath my eyes, when those are looking really big and proud, I use this powder and I pick it up with like a buffing brush, something like the Sonia G Face One brush, or Chantecaille actually has a really great brush called, I think it's the Buff and Blur. Yeah, the Buff and Blur brush. And you just run it over the powder and you just press it onto those larger pores and they just disappear. It's like magic. And then what I like to do is use something a little bit less dense and kind of brush it over the rest of my face. I don't use that action all over, otherwise I feel like it looks a little heavy, but I do use this powder all over, just in a different way, you know, lighter everywhere and heavier over the larger pores. So that is powder. Wow, this is gonna be a long video. All right, let's move on to bronzers. Let's talk about a bronzer family. This is not a specific bronzer. I just love all of the Bobbi Brown bronzers. So she has bronzing powders, she has illuminating bronzers. This is the bronzing powder in Natural. And this is such a great, do you see what a great neutral tone this is? It is so fantastic. And it's a matte bronzer, which is not always my favorite. I do like a little bit of sheen to most of my products, but this is just such the perfect neutral shade for my skin tone that I can't pass it up. She also has a limited edition one, and I'm trying not to talk about too many limited edition products in this video, but she does have a limited edition shade called Stone Street, which was my kind of like gateway into Bobbi Brown bronzers. It was the first one I purchased, and I loved it. I think it's a little bit lighter than natural. It's a little bit lighter, but it has the same kind of like neutral undertone. Just love it. And then I was just mentioning her illuminating bronzing powders. I have used her Antigua illuminating bronzing powder, which doesn't look like a bronzer, but trust me, it goes on like a bronzer. It warms up your skin. It does what bronzer's supposed to do without the possible muddiness. Like if you are already bronzed, let's say it's the summertime, you're already bronzed, and then you put this on, what this will do is give you almost like a sunburnt kind of effect. And if you don't have a bronze and you put this on, it will just make your skin look like healthy and glowing. It's magical. There's something really, really magical about this. And I remember trying this on for the first time on camera with you guys, and I was amazed because I was completely skeptical. I was like, I don't know who was smoking what, calling this a bronzer, but it is. It's a great, great bronzer. So all of the Bobbi Brown bronzers, I think they are incredible. And then a longtime favorite of mine, the Tom Ford Glow Bronzer in number 2, Terra. This is another one that I think it just has a lovely undertone. It's fairly neutral. And this formula is so, so good. It's almost like a powder to cream formula. So it is most definitely a powder, especially when you swatch it. When you apply it, it goes on like a powder, but then it melts into your skin and it just looks like a cream product. It's incredible. I have both Terra and Gold Dust. And Gold Dust is just, it's lighter, but it's warmer. So that's why I always kind of reach for Terra. So this is Gold Dust. But I've talked about this bronzer a lot. So I'm gonna move on. The third bronzer, I kind of surprised myself, but I was like, you know what? I love this bronzer, and I do actually have it on today. This is the Kosas, I can't remember the name, Sun Glow bronzer. Anyway, it's their only bronzer. So I have it in the shade light. I also have it in the shade medium. But right now I have the light on. So I have it pretty much kind of dusted all over my face, but I focused it under my cheekbones, you know, the regular places, forehead, temple, all of that, underneath my chin or whatever. I love this bronzer. It has a little bit of a sheen to it. I believe there's like shea butter in this formula. And some people have definitely asked me if I think this smells funny. It definitely has a smell. I don't think it smells funny though. It just, I don't know, it just kind of smells like makeup, but it doesn't smell bad to me. It doesn't smell like rancid. A lot of people were asking me if I thought it smelled bad, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. Anyway, there is an enormous amount of product in here. I've used this quite a bit, and the mound has kind of come down a little bit, but it is still rounded, and I just think it's gorgeous. Again, because of this beautiful sheen, and I do love the tone of it. It is on the warmer side, so this is a bronzer that I'll probably use a little bit more in the spring, summertime, but I just love the glow that it gives my skin. It's pretty much the glow that you see on top of the foundation and the powder, but I do have this brushed all over my forehead. It's just so healthy looking. So those are my 3 bronzer picks. For blush, now this was tough too. I could have broken this down. Could have broken this down too between cream and liquid and powder. But anyway, so let's start with what I have on my face, and that is the Laura Mercier Blush Color Infusion in Fresco. I really, really love this formula. It's a very interesting formula. If you guys have ever purchased one of these, you probably thought that it was pressed way too hard, but as soon as you get your brush in there, it picks up product really easily, like not a problem. So it's this very interesting formula. Anyway, this particular shade Fresco is gorgeous. It has a little bit of sheen to it. There are micro glitters in there in the pan, but when I apply it, they pretty much dust away. So you're just kind of left with like a nice satin sheen. And this is like the perfect shade if you're looking for just something kind of neutral, warm leaning. I love it. I love this shade and I love this formula. The other blushes I wanted to talk about are the Dior blushes, and I'm laughing because I've been talking about this shade Charnel number 459 so much lately. And this is relatively new to my collection. But before that, I still love, number 219. And that is this guy. So this one, I would say, well, it's obviously much brighter. Let me hold them up next to one another. So this one is not only brighter, but it has like a golden kind of sheen to it. It's beautiful. So, so beautiful. Like if you don't want to use highlight and you just want to use this blush, you could totally get away with that. And this is perfect for me, perfect in the spring, summer, and this is kind of like a fall, winter blush for me. So these two from Dior, I just absolutely love, 219 and 459. And then these are newcomers, and I'm surprised. I'm surprised at how much I love these blushes, but these are the Tom Ford blush duos. I still have the original 4. I think the 2 remaining ones that were out of stock when they released these are in stock now, and I have to pick them up because they seem to be pinker. These 4 all seem to be like in a peachy family. So the one that I've been using the most is Explicit Flush. So this is Explicit Flush. I just like how neutral this side is and then how bright this is. And then when you kind of mix the two together, this one tones this one down a little bit. It's just really lovely. What I do love about these the most is the formula, because they are just like the bronzer formula, where I feel like it just melts into your skin and it just like looks completely diffused and just gorgeous, like a cream blush has been applied. So that's really the main reason why I like these blushes, is the formula. So that's Explicit Flush. The other one that I use the most, I would say, is Sun Drunk. This one is the most like muted. Peach Poison and Cherry Blaze are brighter. So Explicit Flush and Sun Drunk are the 2 that I use the most. But yeah, I just love the formula. They're a little bit on the softer side. So if you go in hard, you're gonna have like a lot of kick up of powder. So with these, you definitely wanna take it easy. Okay, highlighters, wow. I'm just gonna stop editorializing everything. Okay, first one, Westman Atelier's Lit Up Highlight Stick in Nectar. This is absolute gorgeousness in a stick. I love the wet, dewy juiciness that this one gives, and then the slight peachy tinge. Ugh, it is just perfect. It's just perfect. I love, love, love this highlight from Westman Atelier. An oldie, but absolute goodie, and this is what I have on my face today, is one that I've talked about being my favorite highlight. It is probably still my favorite like powder highlight. It is the Burberry Fresh Glow Highlighter in number 4, Rose Gold. It is of a baked gelée formula, and it is like so smooth and wet looking. It is so gorgeous. Like if you really want a bright, metallic, shiny, wet, glossy looking highlight, look no further. This one is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I talk about this all the time. I don't use it that often because, again, so much to play around with, but I love that so much. And then the last highlighter I wanted to mention, these are new. These are definitely newer to my collection than the other 2. These are the Laura Mercier Light Catcher powders. So this is in Celestial Light and this is in Honey Star. These are the 2 that I use mixed together. I've done it several times on my channel. Just gorgeous. Now, this is called the Translucent Loose Setting Powder Light Catcher. I would not use this as a setting powder personally. I just think it's too shiny. For me, it is a highlight, so I use it as a highlight. I use it where I would highlight, not all over my face. Again, it's totally up to you, but I just want to be clear that even though this is called a setting powder, it has a lot of shine to it. That's a lot of shine, and I know some people purchase these powders and put it on like a setting powder and then they had to wash their face because they weren't expecting this. So just be warned that I feel like these are more like loose highlighters versus setting powders. Anyway, they're absolutely gorgeous and I love the shades by themselves. I love them together. There's one shade that's a little bit deeper than Honey Star, I can't remember the name, and has more of like a rose gold copper kind of tinge to it. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, but that one is a little bit too deep for my skin tone. Okay, brows. Now, I'm gonna mention the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel, but I don't know what's going on with this product because it's out of stock everywhere and I don't know if it's discontinued. I don't wanna start any rumors. I felt like I mentioned this years ago that they were discontinuing this, but then everyone restocked, but now we're back in the same boat where it's completely out of stock everywhere, and I just don't know. I don't know if they're gonna restock. I don't know if it's discontinued. But anyway, you guys know this is my favorite eyebrow product. It has wonderful pigmentation. The texture of the actual brow gel is more of like a pomade, so it doesn't leave your brows too crisp or anything. I just love it. And then the little fibers in there just plump up your brows and just really fill them in. It's just wonderful, like a wonderful one and done eyebrow product. My follow-up to that is the Persona Swipe Up Brow Gel, and that's what I have in my brows today. The only thing this one is missing, P.S. Persona, if you want to add some fibers in here, that I think would be a great idea. The only thing this is missing are some fibers, like the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel. I feel like if this one had fibers in there, this would actually be a wonderful substitute for the Tom Ford. But as it stands now, it doesn't have fibers in there. It is just like a tinted brow gel, but it is wonderful. It's all I have on my brows right now, and I feel like there's enough like oomph to the gel that it does a nice job like filling in without the fibers. It does a nice job filling in and making my brows look full. So love the Persona Brow Gel. And then I wanted to mention a pencil, the Gucci Eyebrow Pencil, which is a powder pencil. And I love the fact that it's a powder pencil because you get a really like charcoal effect kind of brow. Like it's a brow pencil that you almost don't need a spoolie for because it's already kind of like dusted out in a way. It's just really cool, and it's because it's a powder pencil. So that is the Gucci Eyebrow Pencil, and I have it in the shade 4. So those are my top 3 brow products. Let's move on to eyeshadow. Again, this was like, do I talk about things that are specific? Do I break it out into large palettes and small palettes? So basically, I was like, we're just gonna do powder shadows and then cream shadows. So for powder shadows, let's start with what I have on my eyes today. And I will say this is like a formula that I love, and it is the Tom Ford Wet Dry formula. This is First Frost, and this is what I have on my eyes. I love the Wet Dry formula from Tom Ford. I love all of the palettes that have this particular formula in it. I love the formula. It's like a high shine satin, but there's a sheerness to it, so it's not too crazy, and you can build it. Obviously, you can use them wet if you want something really opaque. But I just love the sheer, like, metallic satin sheen that you get with these shadows. Absolutely gorgeous. And then I feel like I can't talk about eyeshadows without talking about Pat McGrath. So I just grabbed Mothership 1, which I think is pretty much my favorite Mothership palette. I just love the cool tones in here, and I love the special shades on this side, or the baked gelée shades on this side. They're just great. You know, I feel like Pat McGrath shadows, you know, we talk about like the color story and the packaging and these special shadows and the high glitter, but like her mattes are great. I love her satin shades. They just work really well. They're very pigmented, but they're not hard to work with. Just gorgeous. So Pat McGrath shadows in general, I really love. And same with Natasha Denona. I feel like I can't talk about eyeshadows without talking about Natasha Denona. So here we've got the Glam palette, and this is probably my favorite palette of hers right now. I do love the green brown, the 28 pan green brown palette, but that's another one. I don't know if that's out of stock or being discontinued, but I love that palette. Anyway, this Glam palette is gorgeous, and it's really her formula. I love her metallic shades. They're just super creamy. I mean, they're like a cream to powder kind of eyeshadow. And her mattes are really creamy and easy to work with. And I really like her Chroma Crystal shades. They're like an elevated, better version of like glitter shades because they're not as chunky and they're a little bit more refined, yet you get the same kind of effect. Just gorgeous. So Natasha Denona shadows, had to mention. Okay, wow, I had to take care of something, but I'm back. We were talking about eyeshadows, right? Okay, let's talk about cream shadows. So I did break out powder and cream shadows because I felt like that was just way too different. So I wanted to talk about the Westman Atelier iPods. I love these cream shadows. She now has 3 different sets. Rendezvous is the latest, and then she basically has like day and night, Le Jour and Les Nuits. I think those are the 2 other ones. Anyway, I pulled this one out from the Le Jour set, and this is the shade Tabac, and I love this one. I love this one so, so much. I use this as a one and done shadow, as you can see by the dip in there. I use this as a one and done shadow all the time. And I love the texture of these iPods. They're silicone free and they have this like putty, like kind of clay like texture. And they're just great. You can pick it up with a finger, you can pick it up with your brush, you can like lay it down in a very sheer way, which I really like. You can definitely build them up if you want. They all play nicely together and they're all like these like little magnetized pods. I should have brought them all out, but I just grabbed this one. So anyway, Westman Atelier iPods, definitely love. And then the other two are sort of like long-standing favorites of mine. I've mentioned them probably when I've talked about favorite like one and done shadows or favorite cream shadows. But the Victoria Beckham lid lusters. This is in the shade Mink, which is probably my favorite. She has so many gorgeous shades in this formula. They're a little bit crumbly, so they're great if you use your finger, if you kind of like tap, tap, tap your finger and then press it onto your lid. They're just gorgeous. This Mink shade is really, is so, so stunning. So there is Mink. It has that kind of like warm base to it, but then there is like a silver metallic sheen to it. Just stunning. So that is the Victoria Beckham Lid Luster in Mink. And then last but not least is a Chanel Illusion d'Ombre in the shade New Moon. This is such a glorious shade, and I feel like every time I mention this, there are more and more people that comment about how much they love it and how it's an old-time favorite of theirs as well. This is one of those putty-like textures as well. It's like a little bit soft. You could definitely kind of like smush in there. Not quite as soft, or I should say not quite as like piecey and chunky as the Lid Luster, and not quite as soft as the Westman Atelier. There's a little bit more substance to the Chanel one, but this New Moon shade is just gorgeous. It's shinier and more micro glittery than the Lid Luster, but you can see why I like both. And the New Moon shade itself is lighter, so it's just a little bit more of like an ethereal look if you were to use this as a one and done. It's also a great kind of like topper if you want to tap it over a deeper shade. It's gorgeous. So that is number 3, my last cream eyeshadow that I had to mention. All right, and as for eyeliners, I love the Wang Essential Eye Kohl pencils. You guys know I have Precious Opal on my eyes right now. That is one of the original ones that he came out with. And I love this one because it's like a chocolate brown with like a little bit of a shimmer to it. And then Blue Sapphire is really, really gorgeous too. This is a blue with just a hint of green in there. There's also a little bit of shimmer to this as well. I love the ease of use of these. And on me, they never budge, they don't smudge. I have it tight lined, I have it in my waterline. I have it on my lid, my upper lid here, and they're absolutely fantastic. And I really like Kohl pencils. They just work really, really well for me. So that is number 1. Next up are the Dior Show 24-hour Stilo Intense Waterproof Eyeliners. And I fell in love with these with the Birds of a Feather collection because they came out with these gorgeous like multi-chrome, trio-chrome, duochrome eyeliners. And I just fell in love with them. And the actual formula of the eyeliner is very nice. They are 24-hour for sure. They stay put like no matter what. But these are of like a gel formula versus the Wang, which is a Kohl. And I just find Kohl goes on a little bit more easily. These have like almost like a thicker kind of crayon feel to them. But in any case, they do last a very, very long time. So this shade Iridescent Taupe is definitely one of my favorites because it does have that color shift to it. It looks much darker on the eyelid because you get like the taupiness. That really shows up on the eyelid versus the swatch, which instead really shows off like the rose goldness of it all. And that's the color that it shifts to. It's like this rose gold and then this like rose color and mauve, and it's just really, really pretty. So I really enjoy the formula of these eyeliners, and I really love the shades of these Dior Show eyeliners. And then last but not least, I love this Chantecaille Brightening Eye Kajal pencil. I've talked about this so many times, but I never, until I started using this, I never understood like the putting like a bright kind of like white eyeliner in your waterline to like make your eyes look more awake, it always made my eyes look freaky. Like it never looked quite right. And I was basically always using the wrong tone. It was always too white, or maybe there was too much peach in it. This is like the perfect tone for me. And when I finally tried this shade from Pkwy, put that in my waterline, I was like, oh, I get it. It's kind of like a really, really light flesh tone. And I think what it is that I wanted to do was kind of get a shade that was between the whites of my eyes and my skin. Otherwise, I felt like it was too stark either way. And that's what this eye kajal is. So this shade is perfect and it goes onto my waterline really easily, and not all eyeliners do that. So that is a definite plus for this. So that is the brightening eye kajal from Pkwy. I feel like maybe they've come out with just eye kajals in this color and a black. Anyway, I'll link it down below, but I'm not sure if it's the exact same formula anymore, but I think it's the same shade. Okay, and for mascaras, the Wang waterproof mascara, I've been talking about this incessantly for the past, well, ever since it was released. This is a wonderful, wonderful mascara for me in particular because it holds my curl. It holds my curl better than any other mascara I've ever come across. And what I also like about it is that it does make my lashes thicker, but it doesn't necessarily like clump them up or make them look too thick. I really like a natural eyelash. I don't like them too exaggerated. So I do like them to keep my curl after I've like used my eyelash curler. And I like to keep them like separated, you know, thickening each one is nice, maybe lengthening them a little bit, but that's as far as I like to go. So the Wang mascara does such a good job doing that. The other mascara that does a great job with the same things as the Wang, except it's a little bit more fine. I don't feel like it adds as much thickness to each lash, but it does a great job holding my curl. It does more like separating, I guess you could say, is the Surratt Noir Lash Mascara. I cannot find mine. I'm like losing my mind. I don't know what I did with it. It's here somewhere because I know I did not get rid of it, but it's the one with the like wandless wand. It's a wand at the end. It basically looks like a screw. And so it just picks up the product in like the threading of the screw, and then you just get it on your lash that way. It is fantastic. I love it. It's the least messy kind of mascara because it doesn't have those bristles, which is what I feel like whenever I get mascara on my eyelid, it's because I got too aggressive with the wand and like the bristles ended up on my lid. Anyway, that is number 2 on my list. And number 3 on my list is the Pkwy Faux Cils Longest Lash Mascara. This is the mascara that has peptides in it. So it helps your lashes not only in a mascara way look fluffier and longer and more volume, but in a vitamin enriching way, it also helps your lashes grow. So it helps your lashes in all kinds of ways. I love the way this mascara looks. I would say that's probably the most important when it comes to a mascara. It's nice that it has these peptides and vitamins in there to help your lashes grow, but it's a mascara. And as a mascara, it is lovely, absolutely lovely. It is one of those mascaras that just makes your lashes look really pretty. And it's much like the other two where I just mentioned how it doesn't necessarily make my lashes look super voluminous or super long. They just make them look really pretty and natural and just a little bit better version of themselves, like a little bit longer, a little bit thicker, and that's it. So that is number 3 for my mascaras. All right, lip liner. Natasha Denona lip liners have been my favorite now for the past few months. I love all the colors. I love all the shades. I love the texture. I feel like I can put them on as lip liner. I can put them on and color in my lips, add a little bit of gloss, which is basically what I did today. So I have Julia on, but I have so many of the colors. I have Noah, I have Dana. I love them all. They're really, really beautiful. And they're just such a great like nude lip liner. Like they're a true nude. Some lean just a little bit warm, some lean just a little bit cool, but they're generally like right in that neutral zone, which is great because I have such a hard time, or I'm just really picky when it comes to nude lip liners. I find that some of them lean real pink or some of them lean real orange, and it's hard to find ones that are really, really like brownie in color. So thank you to Natasha Denona for that. And the formula is really lovely. They do set down, and I do find them a teensy bit drying once they set down, but I usually do end up putting a gloss or lip balm or something on my lips anyway, so I never really get to that point. But I do remember like the first few times I was like testing out the lip liner, I kind of felt that. But they do set down, so they don't really budge, which is the plus. The next lip liner is a lip liner I've been talking about forever. These are the Sisley lip liners, and I love them. These have one of those magical formulas where they glide on really smoothly and you think these aren't gonna last, but then they set down, you're like, okay, they're gonna dry out eventually, but they stay really like not drying at all on your lips, even though they've like set down and they are long lasting. It's amazing. I don't know how they did it, but Sisley did it. And I have so many other shades. I have Nude, which is wonderful. I have Chocolat, which is also really wonderful. And I have Beige Naturel, which is probably the one I use the most because it's kind of in between Nude and Chocolat. So these are the three that I have, and I just enjoy this lip liner so much. Again, the magic is all in the formula. I really don't know how they do it. And last but certainly not least, sort of like Eyeshadow and Pat McGrath and Eyeshadow and Natasha Denona, when it comes to lip liner, I feel like I can't talk about lip liner without talking about Charlotte Tilbury. Her lip cheats are, I feel like, kind of what sparked my absolute love and joy for lip liners. Now, I came up in the 90s. I went to college in 1991, so I was deep into the grunge era, and we didn't even use lip liners. We basically used like the chocolate brown eyeliner that I would use. We would use that on our lips. That's what we used as lip liner. So fast forward like 25 years, when I came across Lip Cheat Iconic Nude, I was like, what is this? This is amazing. So I love the Charlotte Tilbury formula. It is a really great kind of like straightforward lip liner. I don't find it especially creamy, but it's not especially dry. It definitely sets down. It gets a teensy bit dry after it sets down, but nothing where it's like a deal breaker. And the color, she has so many shades in her lip cheat, and I have almost all of them, and I find a use for all of them. It's not like any one of them is like, oh, why did I get this one? They're all really unique and very specific, and they all work perfectly, obviously, with her lipsticks. But Iconic Nude is such a good one. I feel like this shade, there's something about this shade, the undertone to it, that it goes with almost every single lip color out there if you just want to define your lips a little bit more. I've used this color with like a bright red just to kind of fill in my lips a little bit more. Like I just kind of blend it in a little bit, and it's great. So there's something magical about this particular shade from Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude, and I just love her lip cheats. Okay, next, let's talk about lip gloss before we talk about lipstick. Let's talk about lip gloss. So I have so many favorite lip glosses. I just love lip gloss. Like lip gloss is my jam. I love it paired with lip liner. I love it all by itself. It just makes the world better. So this was very difficult. I will start with the one that I have on my lips, and this is one that I have definitely talked about a lot. But this is the Chanel Rouge Coco Gloss in, say it with me, 804. I have talked about this gloss now for years, and there's something about this gloss. Doesn't matter what I pair it with, doesn't matter if it's by itself, doesn't matter if it's with a lighter lip liner, a deeper lip liner, a more pinky lip liner, a peachier lip liner. It doesn't matter what I pair it with. It always makes my lips look so full, so full. There's something about this lip gloss. When I first got this and first put this on, I was actually in New York, and I was asked probably that one day by strangers, by like 3 people, what do you have on your lips? Or did you just get your lips done? Like people were like they couldn't stop looking at my lips. And I was like, Chanel 804. This is an incredible shade. Again, there's just something about it that just makes your lips look juicy and full. But I do love this formula. I have a ton, as you guys know, a ton of shades in this gloss, and I love them all. Some have a little bit more glitter in them. Some of them have more of a metallic sheen. Some are more opaque. Some are more sheer. This is one of those that's just kind of in the middle of the road. Doesn't have that much pigment. There's no metallic sheen to it. There are no micro glitters in there. It just does its magic in a really subtle, quiet way. So that is number 1 for lip gloss. Number 2 for lip gloss is, I'm just gonna say the Tom Ford glosses. There's like a few different formulas that I'm going to talk about. So I'm just going to count this as one. But I do love the Gloss Luxe lip gloss. And my love for these was definitely rekindled when he came out with 4 new shades. This one being one of them, called In the Buff. I wore this in my video where I unboxed my Fendi boots and my Hermes bangle. And so many people asked what I had on my lips. And it was this gloss. I had this gloss over one of the Natasha Denona liners. It wasn't Julia like today. I think it was Dana. That was the shade. So it was Dana and this was the combination. And I love this. I love this lip gloss. So it does a very similar kind of effect to my lips like the Chanel, but it does it in a more sparkly metallic way. So it's a little bit more of like an evening, I guess you could say, evening version of this Chanel gloss. But the actual formula of this gloss, I know it's not everyone's favorite. It is goopy. I'm not gonna lie. It definitely has like a goopier kind of texture, but I don't find it so loose that it's like on my teeth and like kind of like dripping off the corner of my lips. It's not that goopy. It really stays put and I don't mind that. So that is the Gloss Luxe. And then I had to talk about this Tom Ford Sunlust lip. This is what came out during the spring, summertime. This was part of the Soleil collection. And I love this lip gloss. It looks like it's gold in the tube, but it does this like color shifting to a peach where there's still like a gold reflect, but it's basically like a peach gloss and it is stunning. It just makes your lips look like perfect in this like crazy way. So that is the Sunlust lip. And I said I was gonna try and not talk about things that were limited edition. This is definitely limited edition. I think it's still around, but it may not be around for long. So last but not least, I wanted to mention the Lisa Eldridge Gloss Embrace lip glosses. These are so incredible. They definitely feel more like skincare, like lip care, with a tint to them. They immediately, and I think when I tried this on for you guys, I just like let it do its magic and I, kind of like zoomed in on my lips. Any kind of like fine lines you may have, they just sort of whoop, like they all just kind of like fill in and your lips just kind of like plump up a little bit. But there's no like plumping, it's not like minty or anything like that. It's just so hydrating and it feels so good on your lips that it just like it feeds your lips exactly what it needs and it's just incredible. And of course, because they're Lisa Eldridge, all of the shades are gorgeous. They're just really beautiful. The one I'm holding up is a Fair. And this is probably the one that I use the most. So those are my lip gloss picks. All right, lipsticks. This could have been its own video also. Highly pigmented, matte, satin, metallic. I could have really broken it down, but I was like, nope, we are gonna just do this once. We're doing a top 3 lipsticks, and I sat there in front of my lipstick drawer and I was like, what would you grab? What's the first thing you would grab? So all the ones that I grabbed because I love the formula. The color, it doesn't even matter what shade it is. If you like a shade, just get it. The formulas of these 3 are incredible. So I'm gonna start with the Bond No. 9 lipsticks. I've talked about these a lot. What did I grab? I grabbed one of the nude shades here. And this one is, oh my God, I can't see. Gramercy Park, definitely one of my favorites. So there's nudes, there's reds. Again, doesn't matter what shade. What I love about this formula is that it goes on like a cream lipstick, like a very highly pigmented cream lipstick, and you swipe it on and it almost like drags a little bit. That's how kind of thick the formula is. And I remember thinking like, oh, this is gonna be like a heavy lipstick situation. But no, within like a minute, all of a sudden it feels like you don't have anything on your lips. It's still there, all the pigment and everything, but it feels weightless all of a sudden. It is the most incredible formula. I think it is so great. It really is magical. It like transforms on your lips, like right before your very lips. Like if you apply one of these lipsticks and you just sit there, you'll feel it, and then all of a sudden you won't feel it on your lips anymore. It's really cool. So these are the Bond No. 9 lipsticks. Again, doesn't matter what shade, they're all fantastic. Next are the Chantecaille. It almost doesn't matter. I pulled out a lip veil, and I do like the lip veils very, very much, but the lip cheeks I like too. I think the lip veil, if I had to pick one, maybe the lip veil. The lip veil is a little bit more oily and it's a little bit of a looser kind of formula, where the lip chic is a little bit balmier. You know, there's like a little bit more density and thickness to it. It's almost like a lip mask. So the lip veils, like I said, they're just a little bit more oily. I picked out the shade Frangipani because, you know, I can't get enough of shades like this. But again, it's this formula. It doesn't matter what like shade you fall in love with. Anything in the lip veils or the lip cheeks, they're just fantastic. They're so comfortable on the lips. And like I always say about Chantecaille lip products, your lips feel better after wearing that lip product than before putting them on. And that's not common unless you're putting on like skincare for your lips, but that's not common when it comes to lipstick. Usually pigmentation is very, very drying, but there's something really, really moisturizing about the Chantecaille lip products. Moisturizing and nourishing. They're very, very nourishing. So lip veil is what I picked out, but really lip veil or lip cheek. We're just gonna count that as one. And then the last lip product, again, it's just the formula. It doesn't matter what color, any color. But it's the Chanel Rouge Coco Flash. I love these Rouge Coco Flashes. They are an even thinner kind of formula than the lip veils. There's just something really kind of like light and, you know, I want to say oily, but I feel like that doesn't sound good or right. It just is like a light kind of lipstick. So it's not like super creamy. Like creamy isn't the word I would use for the Rouge Coco Flash, but there's something very moisturizing, very hydrating about them. And then all of the shades have this wonderful like sheen to them. Some of them more so than others, but they all have it. And this is the shade, I don't even know if the shade is still around. It's number 132 Flushed. I think this may be a limited edition shade. Anyway, I love the shade Boy. I should have pulled that one out. Boy is wonderful. Boy is, you know, one of the kind of iconic Chanel colors. But they're just gorgeous and they're so easy to wear and they just have like enough pigmentation, but it's not too much. They're just wonderful, wonderful. So, wow, I feel like I've been talking for hours. I kind of have been. But that is it for my top 3 products in every category. Now, like I said, when I was talking about foundations, I'm happy to break this down into like real like minutia. Like if you want me to do a top 3 foundation types, top 3 lipstick types, top 3 eyeshadows, I can really break it down. You just let me know. You let me know if you want me to do that. Let me know down below in the comment section. But let me know what some of your favorites are down below in the comment section. I would love to hear from you, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.